Seniors, stop eating this before bed, it's killing your muscle growth. Sounds dramatic. Maybe. But as someone who's worked with thousands of older adults, I can tell you it's more real than you think. You see, we've all heard the old saying, you are what you eat. But what if I told you you are also when you eat? Now, before we dive in, let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever woken up feeling stiff, weak, or more tired than when you went to bed, even though you got your full 8 hours? If yes, you're not alone. And no, it's not just part of getting older. In fact, many seniors unknowingly sabotage their sleep and muscle repair every single night, just by eating the wrong thing at the wrong time. Some experts might say a late-night snack is harmless. Others argue it helps you sleep better. But I'm here to show you the real science, and the stories of seniors who turned it all around just by changing one small habit before bedtime. In today's video, we're going to expose the hidden foods that block muscle growth, explain why your sleep may not be as restorative as you think, and give you clear, simple steps to fix it starting tonight. But before we jump into the details, do us a quick favor. Like this video, share it with a friend, and hit that subscribe button so we can continue bringing you more powerful, science-based health tips for a stronger, more independent life after 60. Trust me, this is one habit that could be making or breaking your aging journey. Let's get into it. The biology of muscle repair during sleep. Muscles don't grow in the gym, they grow while you sleep. That's a fact most people overlook, especially as they get older. Exercise breaks down muscle fibers, sure, but the real rebuilding process happens at night, during a specific stage of sleep called non-REM slow-wave sleep. It's during this deep phase that your brain sends out the strongest pulse of growth hormone you'll release all day. This hormone is your body's repair crew, rebuilding muscle tissue, burning fat, regulating your metabolism, and even restoring your nervous system. I've treated countless older patients who tell me, "Doc, I sleep 8 hours but still feel tired and weak in the morning." The truth is, it's not about how long you sleep, it's about how well you sleep. And one of the biggest things getting in the way, poor nutrition choices late at night. I always tell my patients to think of their body like a construction site. During the day, you tear things down through movement, stress, and exercise. At night, your repair team shows up. But if you've got heavy machinery running, lights blazing, and the site in chaos, nobody can work. That's what happens when you flood your system with sugar, saturated fat, or even a large, healthy meal before bed. You confuse your hormones, delay melatonin, and block your body from entering the very sleep phase it needs to recover. For example, I had a 73-year-old patient named Ronald. He lifted weights, walked daily, ate well, but always felt sore and puffy in the morning. We took a look at his nighttime habits, and it turned out he was eating toast with jam and milk at 9:30 p.m. Seemed innocent, but that late snack kept his insulin high, which suppressed growth hormone during his first few hours of sleep. Once we cut that out and moved his last meal earlier, he started waking up clearer, stronger, and more energized within a week. Science backs this up. Studies show that disrupted deep sleep in older adults leads to significantly less growth hormone production and slower muscle protein synthesis. One paper found that even men over 60 who got just 90 minutes of deep sleep had higher testosterone and IGF-1 levels than their peers who didn't, even though both groups exercised the same amount. So let me ask you, when was the last time you truly woke up feeling rested and strong, not just not tired, but energized, like your body actually repaired itself overnight? As someone in my late 60s myself, I've felt this shift firsthand. A single late-night meal or glass of wine and my deep sleep tanks. My joints ache, my brain feels foggy, but when I finish dinner by 6:30, shut off the screens early and give my body the chance to cool down and reset, I feel sharper, more mobile, and more like myself. Sleep isn't passive. It's the most active repair phase of your entire day, but only if you create the right conditions for it. If you want to preserve your muscle, stay strong, and age with vitality, it starts with what you do in the few hours before bed. Give your body what it needs, and it will reward you every morning. The hidden danger of late-night snacking. Late-night snacking is something we've all done. You're winding down from the day, maybe watching TV or scrolling through your phone, and suddenly a cookie or a bowl of cereal sounds like the perfect nightcap. It feels harmless, maybe even helpful. But the truth is, eating late, especially sugary or fatty foods, can seriously interfere with your body's ability to rest and recover. When you snack before bed, your insulin spikes, cortisol levels rise, and melatonin, The hormone that helps you fall asleep is delayed. Your body gets mixed signals. Instead of easing into deep sleep, it thinks it's daytime again. Sure, you may fall asleep, but you likely won't stay in the deep, restorative stages of sleep your body depends on. I've seen this play out with many of my older patients. One that comes to mind is Martha, age 67. She came to me complaining of poor sleep, joint soreness, and constant fatigue. Every night before bed, she had a bowl of chocolate ice cream. She thought it helped her relax. But that nightly habit was blocking her from getting the deep sleep her body needed. We made one change: no food after 7:30 p.m. Within a week, her sleep improved, her mornings felt lighter, and her leg pain decreased. It wasn't a miracle, it was her body finally getting the chance to do what it's designed to do at night: heal. Science backs this up. Studies have shown that eating late can delay melatonin production by up to 90 minutes and lead to more awakenings during the night. In older adults, who already struggle with deep sleep due to age-related hormonal decline, this disruption can be even more damaging. Personally, I've felt the same. In my younger years, a late snack didn't faze me. But now, in my late 60s, if I eat anything past 8 p.m., I feel groggy the next morning and more sore than usual. It's not about being perfect, it's about being smart. So if you've been feeling off lately, tired despite sleeping 8 hours, slow to recover from exercise, or just foggy in the morning, take a hard look at your nighttime habits. That one harmless snack might be doing more harm than you think. Try skipping it for a few nights. Let your body rest without interruption. You might be surprised how quickly things start to improve. Circadian rhythms and meal timing. Ever wonder why you feel naturally sleepy at night and alert in the morning, even without an alarm or caffeine? That's your circadian rhythm doing its job. It's the internal clock that regulates everything from sleep and digestion to hormone release. What many people don't realize is that this system isn't just in your brain. Sure, your brain has the master clock, but your liver, gut, pancreas, and muscles each have their own clocks too, and these are highly sensitive to when you eat. Here's where things go wrong. When you eat late at night, especially heavy meals or snacks high in fat or sugar, your body gets confused. Your brain is getting ready for sleep, but your organs think it's daytime again. This internal mismatch is known as circadian misalignment. A 2017 study published in Current Biology found that eating at abnormal times can spike insulin and cortisol levels during sleep, while also delaying melatonin, the hormone that helps you fall into deep, restorative sleep. It's like trying to sleep with the lights on and music blaring. You might be in bed, but your body isn't truly resting or repairing. This becomes even more of a problem as you get older. Your circadian rhythm naturally weakens with age, meaning the signals that guide your sleep and hormone cycles are already fainter. Late-night eating amplifies this disruption, often leading to poor sleep, slower recovery, lower testosterone, and increased fat gain, especially around the belly. I saw this firsthand with a patient named Jonathan, a 72-year-old former tennis coach. He thought a slice of peanut butter and jelly toast at 9:30 p.m. was helping his muscles recover overnight. In reality, that small snack was raising his insulin levels and blocking the growth hormone his body needed for recovery. We made one simple change: last meal by 6:30 p.m., no snacks after. Within days, he was sleeping better. Within 2 weeks, he said he felt 10 years younger. I've experienced this myself too. As I've gotten older, I've noticed that even a light snack too close to bedtime leaves me feeling off the next day, more stiffness, less clarity, and poorer sleep quality overall. So now I finish dinner early and let my body wind down naturally, and I feel the difference every morning. If you're waking up tired, stiff, or foggy, ask yourself, are you giving your body the right signals at the right time? Try finishing dinner at least 5 to 3 hours before bed. Eat more earlier in the day, make breakfast and lunch your biggest meals. Don't just eat healthy, eat in rhythm with your biology. That one shift can improve your sleep, boost recovery, and help your body age with strength, not struggle. The insulin, growth hormone tug-of-war. Have you ever woken up feeling puffy or sluggish after eating something small before bed, like a banana or a scoop of yogurt? Or noticed your muscles stay sore longer than usual after an evening workout? It might not be your routine, it might be your hormones. Specifically, the timing between insulin and growth hormone. Every night, assuming you sleep deeply and without interruption, your body releases its biggest surge of growth hormone about an hour into sleep. This hormone is critical for muscle repair, fat burning, and overall recovery. But here's the catch. Insulin and growth hormone don't play well together. Insulin, which rises when you eat, especially carbs or protein, tells your body to store energy. Growth hormone, on the other hand, wants to burn fat and rebuild tissue. When insulin is high, growth hormone gets shut down. This conflict is like pressing the gas and brake at the same time your body stalls. A study from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism showed that elevated nighttime insulin can suppress growth hormone by up to 70%. That's a huge loss in your body's overnight repair potential. I had a patient named Tom, 64, who worked out consistently and ate clean. Still, he kept gaining belly fat and felt worn out after workouts. Turns out, he drank a big protein shake loaded with whey, oats, and banana every night before bed. While well-intentioned, that shake spiked his insulin during the exact window his body should have been releasing growth hormone. We switched him to a smaller casein protein shake, taken 3 hours before bed. 2 weeks later, his sleep was better, his recovery improved, and his waist shrunk. I've experienced this myself. I used to have a small snack at night, something healthy, like cottage cheese or a granola bar. But as I got older, I noticed I'd wake up more bloated or sore. Now I stop eating by 6:30 or 7 p.m. When I do, I feel leaner and more energized in the morning. The fix isn't about cutting food. It's about adjusting the timing. If you want to support recovery, build muscle, and keep your metabolism strong, you need to finish your last meal at least 2 to 3 hours before bed. And if you must eat later, choose something low in carbs and slow digesting like casein protein, cottage cheese, or bone broth with collagen. These won't spike insulin and will still feed your muscles through the night. So before you grab that bedtime snack, ask yourself, am I fueling recovery or am I blocking it? Every night is a chance to repair and rebuild, but only if your hormones are on the same team. Best and worst foods before bed. We've already talked about how important it is to eat at the right time, but what you eat before bed matters just as much. Many people think a small snack at night helps them sleep, maybe a bowl of cereal, some toast, or fruit. These seem harmless, even healthy. But the truth is, these foods can disrupt your metabolism and interfere with your sleep and recovery. Sugary snacks like cookies, sweetened yogurt, and even fruit juice can spike your blood sugar. That leads to a surge in insulin, followed by a crash in the middle of the night. Your body responds by releasing cortisol, the stress hormone, which pulls you out of deep sleep and leaves you inflamed and groggy. Foods high in saturated fat, like pizza or bacon, slow digestion and raise your core body temperature, making it harder for your body to enter deep, restorative sleep. Refined carbs like crackers and white bread digest quickly, causing similar blood sugar spikes. A Columbia University study in 2016 found that diets high in sugar and refined carbs led to shorter, deep sleep and more nighttime awakenings. Even some protein shakes can work against you. One of my patients, Linda, age 70, had a health shake every night with protein, but also 20 grams of sugar and added oils. We moved her last meal to 6:30 p.m. and cut the shake. 2 weeks later, her sleep improved, and her joint pain started to ease. If you really need something before bed, there are better choices. Casein protein is a slow-digesting dairy protein that feeds your muscles all night without spiking insulin. A study in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise showed that casein taken before bed improved overnight muscle repair. Cottage cheese is another good option. It has casein and tryptophan, which helps your body produce melatonin. I often have a few spoonfuls with cinnamon and a few blueberries if I want something small. Collagen peptides or bone broth powder are also great, especially for joint health. They're high in glycine, which helps lower body temperature and supports sleep. A 2012 study found that just 3 grams of glycine before bed helped people fall asleep faster and feel more refreshed. And if you want something sweet, a small serving of kiwi or tart cherries can support melatonin production. Just keep the portions small and pair with protein. Here's a simple plan. Eat dinner 3 hours before bed. If you really need a snack, keep it light, casein, cottage cheese, or collagen. Avoid alcohol, sugar, and heavy fat for at least 4 hours before sleep. This isn't about starving yourself. It's about making choices that support your body's recovery, not sabotage it. So let me ask, are your nighttime snacks helping your body heal or holding it back? If you wake up feeling stiff, tired, or foggy, it might be time to rethink what you're eating after dark. Try switching out ice cream or toast for something lighter and recovery-friendly. Your sleep, your muscles, and your mornings will thank you. Hidden sleep saboteurs: caffeine, alcohol, and chocolate. Even if you're doing everything right with your meal timing and food choices, you might still be sabotaging your sleep without realizing it. For older adults like me, the usual evening treats, a piece of dark chocolate, a calming cup of green tea, or a glass of wine, can quietly undo all the work we've done to support recovery and rest. Let's start with caffeine. It's not just in coffee. It's in tea, chocolate, pre-workout drinks, and even some nighttime protein powders. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine, the brain chemical that makes you sleepy. So you might feel tired, but your brain can't fully enter a restful state. A study from Stanford showed that caffeine consumed even 6 hours before bed can shorten sleep by over an hour and reduce deep sleep, the very stage when your body releases growth hormone to rebuild muscle. And for people over 50, caffeine hangs around longer. Our bodies just don't clear it as quickly. That innocent 2 p.m. tea, it could still be affecting you at 10 p.m. I recommend stopping caffeine by noon and checking labels carefully. Hidden stimulants are everywhere. Next is alcohol. Sure, it can make you fall asleep faster, but it wrecks sleep quality. It reduces REM sleep, fragments deep sleep, and raises body temperature, which makes it harder to stay asleep. One study found that moderate drinking reduced nighttime growth hormone by up to 70%. That's a major hit to your recovery. People often think they slept fine after drinking because they don't remember waking up, but their brains spent the night working to detox, not rebuild. If you're over 60 like I am, your body's already doing a tougher job regenerating at night. Alcohol just makes it harder. I tell my patients to avoid drinking within 4 hours of bed, and if they do have a drink, to hydrate well and stop early in the evening. Now on to the sneaky stuff, chocolate and healthy teas. An ounce of dark chocolate might seem like a smart choice, but it can have as much caffeine as half a cup of coffee, plus theobromine, a stimulant that also disrupts sleep. Teas like green tea, yerba mate, and matcha are marketed as clean and calming, but they contain caffeine and L-theanine, which can keep you mentally alert, the exact opposite of what you want before bed. Even some nighttime protein powders contain green tea extract, guarana, or hidden sugars, all of which spike insulin and block growth hormone. What should you do instead? Choose herbal teas like chamomile, rooibos, or lemon balm. Look for supplements labeled caffeine-free and non-thermogenic. Check every label, especially anything that claims to boost metabolism at night. I've learned this the hard way. I used to have a piece of dark chocolate with green tea in the evening, thinking I was being healthy, but I'd wake up feeling tired and inflamed. When I cut those out and replaced them with a warm, sugar-free herbal tea, my sleep improved dramatically. Here's the routine I now follow and recommend to patients. No caffeine after noon, no alcohol within 4 hours of bed, and no chocolate or stimulating teas after dinner. Instead, I wind down with a warm herbal tea, turn down the lights, and avoid screens. You don't need a perfect routine, just a consistent one that supports the body's natural rhythm. Ask yourself, is your evening habit helping you recover, or is it stealing your strength while you sleep? A better night starts with better choices, even the small ones. Body temperature and sleep architecture. Most people think building muscle and sleeping better comes down to diet, exercise, and maybe a few supplements. But one of the most overlooked tools for deep, restorative sleep is something you probably haven't paid much attention to: your body temperature. As we age, especially after 60, our ability to regulate temperature naturally weakens. That means even a small disruption in your body's cooling process can throw off your sleep and your recovery. Your body is designed to cool down at night. This drop in core temperature, usually by 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit, is what signals the brain to enter deep sleep, also known as slow-wave sleep. That's the phase when your body releases the most growth hormone, repairs muscle tissue, reduces inflammation, and resets your immune system. But here's the issue. Most of us unintentionally block this natural drop. Warm bedrooms, heavy blankets, intense late-night workouts, or big evening meals keep your body temperature high. And that can delay or even prevent you from getting the deep sleep your body needs. I had a patient, Mark, a 68-year-old retired electrician, who told me he was waking up stiff and foggy every morning. He wasn't eating late, he'd cut out caffeine, and he was taking care of himself. But he slept in a room that was always 75 degrees F, bundled in thick blankets. Once we lowered the room temperature and swapped his bedding for breathable cotton sheets, his sleep quality improved within days. He started waking up feeling clearer and stronger. If you want to fix this, start by setting your bedroom temperature between 60 and 67 degrees F. This is the sweet spot for most people, especially older adults. Too warm and your brain stays too active. Cool enough and you shift naturally into deep recovery mode. Another trick, take a warm shower or bath 1 to 2 hours before bed. It sounds strange, but that warm water brings blood to your skin's surface. Once you step out, your body rapidly releases heat, helping your core cool down faster. Studies show this can help you fall asleep quicker and spend more time in deep sleep. Also, avoid intense exercise right before bed. A hard workout raises your body temperature and revs up your nervous system. If evening is the only time you can work out, follow it with some gentle stretching, a light meal, and a cool rinse. Lastly, rethink your bedding. Heavy quilts and flannel pajamas trap heat and make it harder to cool off. Choose moisture-wicking fabrics like bamboo or lightweight cotton, and don't be afraid to sleep with your feet uncovered. Feet help release excess heat and bring down core temperature. If you're doing everything right, clean eating, smart timing, no caffeine, but still wake up tired, body temperature could be the missing piece. Think of it like a dimmer switch, too warm and your brain can't fully shut down. But just a slight drop in temperature helps your system shift into repair mode. So tonight, ask yourself, is your bedroom helping you heal or holding you back? The 7-day challenge, precision sleep recovery. If you've come this far, you're clearly serious about restoring your energy, protecting your muscles, and aging with strength. Now it's time to take everything we've covered, from circadian rhythms to late-night food choices, and put it into practice with a simple 7-day challenge. For the next 7 nights, commit to 5 key behaviors. First, stop eating 5 to 3 hours before bed. No snacks, no, just 1 bite. This gives your insulin time to drop and allows your body to shift into recovery mode where growth hormone can do its job. I had a patient, Janice, in her mid-70s, who always snacked on a few cookies after dinner. Once she cut that habit, her knee pain and morning fatigue noticeably improved in less than a week. Second, cool your bedroom. Aim for a temperature between 60 and 67 degrees F. Use breathable sheets, lighter sleepwear, and if needed, take a warm shower an hour before bed. It helps your body cool down faster once you step out. Cooling your environment helps trigger the drop in core body temperature needed for deep, restorative sleep. Third, no caffeine, chocolate, or alcohol after 12 p.m. That includes green tea, energy drinks, and even healthy dark chocolate. Caffeine can linger in your system longer as you age, sometimes disrupting sleep even if you had it 8 hours earlier. I've had patients eliminate their afternoon tea and finally get through the night without waking up at 2 a.m. Fourth, if you're genuinely hungry before bed, go for sleep-friendly options like half a cup of cottage cheese, a scoop of casein protein, or collagen mixed in warm herbal tea. Add a little kiwi or tart cherry if you need something sweet. Both support natural melatonin production. The key is to avoid insulin spikes that block growth hormone while still giving your body gentle support for recovery. Finally, track how you feel each morning. Use a notebook or phone app to jot down when you fell asleep, how often you woke up, how sore you feel, or how your energy levels are. One of my patients, Ron, a retired gym teacher in his late 60s, thought this part was silly at first. But by day 5, he noticed fewer aches and a huge improvement in his morning alertness, all from following the steps. By the end of this challenge, most people report deeper sleep, less soreness, better mood, and fewer cravings. You may even notice less puffiness in your face or hands and a clearer, sharper mental state. That's because your body is finally aligning with its natural repair rhythm, instead of constantly battling against it. This isn't about overhauling your entire lifestyle. It's about mastering the 3 hours before bed. That window holds the key to everything from better sleep and faster recovery to more energy during the day. And remember, it's not about perfection, it's about precision. Small changes done consistently can lead to big improvements in the way you feel, move, and sleep. So let's recap, seniors. What you eat before bed isn't just about calories or cravings. It's about hormones, healing, and how strong you'll feel tomorrow morning. Late-night snacks might feel comforting, but if they spike your insulin or raise your core temperature, they can silently block your growth hormone, the very hormone your body needs to repair muscle, reduce inflammation, and stay strong as you age. We've seen how just one small change, like cutting off food 3 hours before bed or swapping a sugary snack for cottage cheese or casein, can lead to deeper sleep, better mornings, and even improved muscle tone in just a few weeks. Remember this, muscles aren't built in the gym. They're rebuilt in your sleep. And your sleep begins with what you do in those final few hours before your head hits the pillow. Now I want to hear from you. Have you tried changing your evening habits? Do you struggle with nighttime cravings? Drop a comment below and let us know what works for you or what you're planning to try first. If you found this video helpful or eye-opening, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend or family member who's over 60. And most importantly, subscribe to our channel for weekly tips on nutrition, mobility, strength, and healthy aging. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, sleep deep, and we'll see you in the next video.